time is running out to get these balls forever. Can't wait to see where they finally land on the chart. Right now, Rome is still pretty far behind the top country ball I've ever sold, almost 3,000. But then again, it's really all about the last few hours. Head over to makeshift.com by using that link in the description down below to reserve yours today. And if you get both, you actually get a discount. 99% of Europeans can't name this state. I can barely name this state. We've got way too many rectangles. I think it's Colorado. Oh yeah, maybe Wyoming, but smushed. Why are we still arguing about Israel versus Palestine? We already figured out who owns those lands a long time ago. Obviously, it's Portugal. The entire world is basically just Spanish and Portuguese. And they decided for everyone centuries ago. I have an idea for the border crisis. Make the borders smaller and therefore more secure. I know what you're thinking. How do we make it smaller? Easy. Just make it to Panama. Now it's tiny and we have more beaches. And Coca-Cola. Dude, it's so simple. Or why don't we do just the Spanish and Portugal plan and just say the whole world's ours? Then we'll never have to worry about a border crisis ever again. Do European countries recognize their war crimes? In green, yes. In light green, yeah. In yellow, we have yes, and in orange, we have orange. I'm not making that up. And in red, we have no. Wow. Oh, and I forgot the most important. In gray, no crimes were ever committed in Serbia. My solution to every Middle Eastern crisis ever. Every problem in this region of Earth can be fixed with one simple solution. Ta-da! It won't even be that hard. We just have to sink the United States into the ocean. Look, guys, we've saved Bikini Bottom. Yeah, that was exactly what I was thinking too. Maybe we sink a couple nations in the ocean. Most despised country in every U.S. state. Wow, it seems to be all Mexico. This is definitely not a map showing anything else, like the #1 migrant country. No. And if you believe that, I got another one for you. The most liked country in every country. Everyone knows here in the US, we love China. Everyone also knows that Pakistan loves India. Meanwhile, all of the Arab world loves Israel. Hard to even say that one with a straight face. Europeans love Russia. With San Marino here, I almost thought that was like a Slovenian flag. Now that this map's in 240p quality. Of course, the island nation of Cuba loves the US. They started really enjoying us after embargoing them several decades ago and trying to oof Fidel. They liked that part too. Love the diversity here in South America. Man, they like so many different countries. Weird how often countries like a neighboring country. That's not even a satirical statement. That kind of is true. Can you guess the state I'm from based off how I draw each and every US state? I'm gonna say probably Texas, but that might just because the borders are darker. Oh no, it has to be somewhere in New England. This is literally too perfect. No one on Earth, even people from the East Coast, can draw it this well. Yeah, like no one remembers Delaware's existence. I'm gonna say he's probably from Boston. Definitely got the rectangles right over this way. That is a little bit too big. He's not from California. That looks... I'm not gonna say it. It's gotta be the Northeast. Like, no one draws it that good. I don't even know what goes on over there. Oh man, I was wrong. How? You don't even want to see how horrible a Californian would draw all the states. Any Canadian, I've lived in Canada my whole life. Meanwhile, Canada. At this point, this is really all it is. More than 50% of the population just lives here. I think if you include like 100 miles from the US border, it's like 75% of the population. 80? This might as well be their de facto borders. Yeah, the meme could have also basically just been this. Europeans, I'm traveling to America. Meanwhile, America. But can you really blame them? It's pretty much all we are. I don't know if that's gonna come off as satire, but I mean, if I lived in the UK, absolutely, I'm just going to Manhattan, not trying to do a 12-hour flight to LA. Of course, the map only includes New Jersey because they got lost. Europeans, I'm traveling to Africa. Meanwhile, Africa. Okay, this is probably right, but you gotta throw in Egypt as well. Egypt and Morocco. That's definitely it. There's no more than that. Then again, we do have historical evidence of when Europeans travel to Africa, they actually go to literally every corner. Americans, I'm traveling to Europe. Meanwhile, Europe. If you're not a geography nerd like me, this might go over your head. This is technically a European country, but it just happens to be an image of territory not in Europe. It is the massive overseas territory of French Guiana located in South America. Next time I say I'm going to Europe, this is what I mean. This is probably the most famous meme of all these types of memes because it is absolutely true. It's just London, Paris, and well, Rome. I did that as well. I can't even do anything but laugh. It's true. I've been to the UK. Meanwhile, I went to London. Sorry, can't help it. So tired of people saying Africa never colonized. They literally colonized the entire planet. We're all from this continent here in 2024. Well, that is if we delete France off the map. Remember, the first Homo sapiens were thought to rise out of the African continent, and then from there we traveled to the Middle East and then continental Europe and then China, and then we crossed the Bering Strait and got to the Americas. They literally won the whole game. Rip the Neanderthal humans. What country would you like to be annexed by? Another map that totally didn't just switch the question up here. The UK wants to be annexed by Australia. I understand that. There's probably a lot of Americans that want that too. The Irish want to be annexed by the US. Bunch of nations want to be annexed by Switzerland, and who wouldn't? Literally be a massive Swiss neutrality. To be fair, Eastern Europe, Germany tried. Germany tried a great many times to annex all of you. I'm sure they're like, but you said no. Yeah, we'll take Turkey if they want. One thing I do like about these meme maps is trying to figure out the original meaning though. Is this like if you had to leave your home country, which country would you move to or something like that? I don't know. Oh wow, it is actually that. Dang. Countries which are socially acceptable to dislike. I've got a lot to say about this. You could see it through the memes. You are unbelievably free to dislike France and England. But that's very important. Sometimes they do put the UK, but honestly the memes mean just England. Let's be real. Then we have Russia, China, and North Korea. Well, Belarus as well. I get that. You don't see that in the memes, but that's just like casually through chit chat. It's also socially acceptable to ironically like North Korea though. They have a whole nother freedom. Like you can't even ironically like these other nations. Yeah, that's a no-no. I guess it's socially acceptable to not like Canada, but nobody does. And there's never memes about Canada. It's just kind of like, haha, they're there. And yeah, you could absolutely joke on the US. It doesn't even matter. I feel like there's one big missing nation on here. You're definitely allowed to dunk on the Italians. They really don't like it though. Saudi Arabia, I think, even though you rarely see it. Qatar, like the really rich Arab states, I've seen people do that. It's funny because you can dunk on Australia and New Zealand and no one's gonna bat an eye. Just nobody does it. Nobody wants to do it. Everyone likes those places. I ironically despise the nation of Palau. How? Why? Because frick 'em, that's why. Finally, we have a 3-state solution. Here's Egypt. We're going to give this confusing border to Israel. This is the confusing border that Sudan and Egypt both don't want to claim. Believe it or not, there is land that people don't want to claim. There's like a whole story behind this too. That's because one of these two nations, if they claim one of the territories, they will pretty much lose the other side. Countries that are bigger or smaller than the world's average. In yellow, smaller than the world's average. And in blue, bigger. Hello? That looks pretty small to me. It was a joke that I probably am not allowed to make. I despise inaccurate maps like this. What's this map gonna tell me next? That this is actually an enclave of Russia's? Is this map of Europe on a Euro accurate? I don't remember there being a large 2 over here. Sometimes I re-review memes just because I think they're way too funny to not include them again. You're probably American. We all go to the giant 2 during the holidays. South Dakota is the only state with 2 words making up its name. The United States map this guy must have learned about. I forgot there's just South Dakota and Dakota in the north. I forgot North and South Carolina were actually just one giant Carolina. We're living before the pre-Civil War times. No West Virginia. I knew JohnDenver's song was about Western West Virginia. There's just Jersey up here. And York. Also, New Mexico's never existed. I don't know who told you that. Finally, a real map of the US. Who would be dumb enough to name so many states with 2 different words? Predominant languages of the Americas. In red, English. In yellow, Spanish. In orange, de jure English, de facto Spanish. In dark blue, French. In green, Portuguese. Spanish plus native languages. Dinosaur noises. In purple, alien noises. And in blue, incomprehensible French. People think languages in the American continents are not very diverse. Think again. As an Argentinian, I've invented a place that is very bad. What should I call it? I remember seeing a map very similar to this not that long ago. Literally from the Brazilian perspective, Argentina is the place that was very bad. Countries where it is hard to find pizza. Or in other words, weird countries. I have to admit, if you can't just call and get pizza delivered to your house, that is oddly strange. I'm not serious about that, but it is, yeah. I feel like it's gotta be possible in Japan. Well, I guess it's possible in all these places, but it's just weirdly difficult. Maybe it's only in the big cities. I think a lot of Americans forget just like how much diversity of food we have here. Or I guess Americans that live in big cities, Los Angeles, New York, a lot of places on earth can't just go get Korean food, for instance. However, on the opposite side of things, everyone knows pizza's really easy in the Kim Jong-un empire. Why didn't Germany just take this territory during World War II? Are they stupid? Everything was all theirs except for this. Seems pretty easy. I actually can't tell if this one's ironic or not. I feel bad for having to explain this joke, you know, just having to explain jokes, you know, kind of lame. But the thing about Switzerland is you can take it, but the Swiss people are gonna make it really not worth it. They're basically the Afghanistan of Europe. Anyone else think this will be the year Macedonia takes back this land? I mean, they do technically have a claim to all this, right? They need to start asking for parts of Pakistan right now. Or at least that would be the case, but this is, after all, North Macedonia. They would instantly be able to ask for all this, and they would get it overnight if they didn't have to add that north part to their name. That just ruined like everything for them, didn't it? I removed all of France and gave it to all their neighboring countries. Talk about that map we said earlier, socially acceptable to dislike. I love how swirly it is. It's like an ice cream. I'm gonna put this as part of my New Year Christmas list. Never forget what they took from you. The giant Mongolian horde. First of all, this is even accurate. I don't know where they got this map. I guess this is what Mongolia would look like if we brought it back today, because we'd have to probably keep China. But there is one way for you to never forget what they took from you, and that's by getting your own Mongolian plushie down below. Gotta admit, this one's my favorite one to just squeeze at night thinking about Genghis. Big thanks to my patrons.
You'll find a link in the description down below to support me.
The beautiful Megan Underwood.
Drum your dad, back with the milk.
Look outside.
A fat
I
normal.
cannot sleep without
Jack
Drew's voice.
Traven's annoying
Amateur
friend.
archaeology.
Carmel
Fredrik
Saida.
Tibblin. InquisitorXarius.
JohnDenver.
KirinoIsBestGirl.
Sebby, if you hear this,
I love
Tambrin.
you. The Great
the
Ralphie.
Mexican 760.
And ZaneyBoi.